Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a bit of a double feature for you from a brand new brand called Monchard watches. They are, of course, a micro brand that pays homage to basically the Fleegers of yesteryear while kind of adding their own touches and tweaks to really make the aesthetic something that can be worn by today's modern market. So basically, if you're in the market for this type of watch, this is of course a pilot's watch. Both of them are. Some key common characteristics in design language when you're shopping for a pilot's watch. Of course, the main thing is you're going to want that balance of both legibility and functionality. Now, of course, there are going to be some common themes you're going to see, like Arabic numerals and such, that really tie back more so to pilot's watches from the World War II era. Namely the A and B dials, but I think you'll know, the market definitely is open to a lot more changes on that kind of definition of a pilot's watch. There's just so many different variations and so many cool things out there, and I think brands like this popping up also do offer something that's a little bit different, but at the same time, still kind of familiar in all of the good ways. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a closer look. Okay, so here we have two of their offerings. They do share the same name in that they are both known as the Skytoucher. Here we have the Skytoucher Automatic, and then on this side here we have the Skytoucher GMT. Both pretty similarly, pretty much the case and everything is exactly the same. Really, the main differences are going to be the aesthetics, and of course some of the options chosen, and then the movements. So if you're going to want an automatic watch, then this bad boy right here is going to be the model for you in the automatic. And then you do have this quartz GMT model here, which I'm actually a huge fan of. You guys know from watching the channel, I'm not huge into quartz. I don't review too many quartz watches, but there's just something about this particular model. I really, really dig the kind of blacked out tactical style here. This strap is probably one of the best kind of sailcloth straps I've ever seen, like offered, just kind of out of the box. Normally you're gonna have to go aftermarket to get something that's this nicely done. So super impressed with that, and a very nice surprise. Also here on the automatic model, you do have a really nice leather strap that is super pliable, super soft, which we'll get into a little bit more when we get into the wrist time. But let's talk a little bit just generally about these cases. We'll go ahead and start with the automatic model here. So essentially they're both going to be 42 millimeters diameter with a 12 millimeter height, and then a 50 millimeter lug to lug. So this is going to have some nice presence on your wrist, and it's going to be something that, it wears like a pilot's watch, big, bold, and bright, essentially. And then kind of on the other side of that, of course you will get the bigger and bold portion, but you might not get the bright unless you're going to have this in a Lume situation, which you'll notice that this actually has outstanding Lume. I really like their kind of take on the really kind of more tactical look here, really blacked out. And then, really great case back there that they both share, essentially, with just a couple minor tweaks to the information that's given, because there's, of course, they're powered by different movements and whatnot. Another nice feature about these watches is you do have actually a screw down crown, which gives them 100 meters of water resistance, which is, I think, really great and a nice surprise, and really helps keep these super wearable, being sports watches that can be worn every single day. So although they might be quite handsome and rugged looking, they're also something that also is just going to be super comfortable on the wrist, super versatile, and it's going to be able to stand up to the elements as well. So you might get rained on, you don't have to worry about it. You want to go take a quick swim, it's not going to be something that's really you're going to have to worry about with these models, which I think is really, really cool. The sapphire is flat with an AR coating. It's a very blue one, so you probably won't see it here with the blue dial. So if you're really not into AR coating, you might want to go with the blue dial, because you're not going to be able to see it. At least the blue hues are gonna they might get a little bit washed out, so you won't be able to really see them against that blue backdrop. But here, as you can see from this black model, I don't know, I feel, there we go. You can see a little bit more of the blue tones kind of, you can see it on the edge, you're dancing there. And well, the really nice thing is this is really nice AR. Okay, there we go. Of course, like directly on the studio light there, you can see that it's reflecting, but and it does give it a bit of a blue hue. But I think that's one of the things that actually make this watch, you know, especially being a quartz watch, somehow it just feels quite a bit more expensive because of that hue there. I don't know if they did that on purpose. Maybe they wanted it to be a little bit more noticeable, because honestly, when you're looking at watches that are in these ranges, especially quartz powered, you're not necessarily even thinking about getting a sapphire, let alone getting an AR coated sapphire. So I think that's a really nice touch. Now, as far as pricing goes, the difference, you're gonna be looking at $442 for the automatic, and you're gonna be looking at $332. Of course, well, the camera doesn't want to focus. This bad boy is so stealthy there that the camera doesn't want to pick it up. On this model, of course, it's going to be $332, and it's nice because actually with the options here, you're not actually paying up if anything special to get the DLC code and whatnot, and this really cool strap. It's actually the same price as, you know, one of their leather strapped models with a stainless steel case. So I think that was really cool. Normally when you do go for the extra coating and the really cool theme, you know, you tend to pay a little bit extra for that. Not in this case. So good on you, Monchard, for offering that nice bang per buck as far as that goes. Now, the nice thing here is they also do have really good lume. Of course, the automatic models, you can see, does have applied indices there and the polish hands. And really, the only part that's loomed is going to be those hands and then the track that goes all the way around. But for the quartz model, a lot of this dial, if not all of it, essentially, is going to be loomed. So this thing really, really is going to stand out when we get to the low light transition. And it's really what surprised me about how much I really like this watch. Again, I'm not huge into quartz watches, but you know, the screw down crown, the DLC coating, you know, the very cohesive execution as far as the design language with that tactical look. I mean, it's just really has a great masculine appeal to it, and very rugged. You know, I really enjoy tool watches. Of course, you've seen tons of different field watches on my channel, pilots watches, dive watches, sports watches. I'm just really into kind of the tool watch vibe. And I really, really enjoy this piece, and this is something that, you know, I could see being, you know, you can wear every day. And the nice thing is, although it's quartz, there's no seconds hand, so it doesn't kind of give itself away necessarily as a quartz. And then you also do get the added functionality of having a GMT hand there. So you can see here, I am in the West Coast in Pacific time, and then the 24-hour hand essentially for the GMT is actually showing Eastern time. So that's just something, if you ever watched my channel and you've seen me review other GMT watches, that's normally the way I set the time there. And again, just to show you guys, the clasps are also really nice. Nice and milled and chunky, no skimping out there, as you guys can see. And then the nice thing, again, even on this side with the black, still signed, and nice and chunky, milled out, really nice. So let's go ahead and get these on the wrist. All right, as you can see, very nice for the black model. It does have 22mm lugs, so everything is quite proportional with this case. And the nice thing, of course, on the automatic, same story there as far as the proportions and everything, wearing really well. I do have 7¼ inch wrists, so you guys can take a look. I can get a little bit more arm in there. You get a little bit more idea of scale. Of course, up close and a wristy, it's going to look a little bit larger. Some of that does have to do with a little bit of lens distortion from the camera, but then you go here as well, you get a little bit more arm in the shot, get a little bit more of an idea of kind of the way these are going to wear, a bit more modern for a sports watch, being a little bit on the larger side, but they are pilot's watches. So, you know, they're supposed to be large and legible and kind of in your face and have that wrist presence. As you can see here, this one, they're both actually do have these little plaques on there. This one's just on the opposite side because I'm wearing this one on my other wrist. If I can get it to focus there. There you go. You can catch a little bit of it. But essentially, screw down crown, signed. They don't dig in either way. I normally wear my watches on my right wrist because I do write with my left hand. But this is still quite comfortable, as you guys can tell. And this, if you're really looking for a comfortable strap, this out of the box is super nice. The leather option here with this really cool kind of sailcloth option. It's honestly a bit thicker, I'd say, and you know, to me it could use a little bit breaking in. I'm sure if I wear it a little bit more, it'll get more and more comfortable over time. But if you want something as far as like, hey, straight out of the box, I want to be able to wear it and for it to be comfortable, this is an excellent strap. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. It has a really nice age and a little bit wear to it, and the color palette is just great with that kind of peanut butter basketball color. I think goes great with the blue dial. So these things work great, and they kind of wear how you would expect from a pilot style watch. So with that said, let's go ahead and move into some low light transition. All right, we'll go ahead and hit the lights. And as you can see, actually looking back at my notes, I just want to make sure that I stated this earlier in the video, but basically the quartz model in this case is going to be powered by BGW9 Lume, and then you're going to have I believe C3 on the automatic model there. Definitely glows green. And of course, those are some very small little lume plots along that outer track, so they're not going to be quite as visible. But again, here's something where I'm just really, again, surprised and blown away with the value proposition on this particular quartz model, because it just offers you something that's so different and so cool. Again, look at the brightness on this lume. It's just absolutely outstanding, and it just makes you think it's a much more expensive watch than it really is. So that's really, really impressive from that standpoint. Let's go ahead and get some low light transition. The nice thing is you guys can get a little bit of an idea of the case finishing. Of course, the automatic being fully polished, you're not going to really be able to see brushing wise, but you will get an idea of what this blue dial looks like when it's not in direct sunlight, when you're looking at it more from the outlook of maybe inside of a vehicle, coming into indoors. And look at that, the way that lume just holds up on that quartz model. I'm just really, really digging it. This has to be one of the coolest microbrand quartz watches that I've seen, and that is, again, it's normally you go to micros to get that great kind of value bang per buck you know, proposition for automatics. And you know, in this case you have the automatic model, which is powered by the 9015, and then you have this quartz GMT model, which is powered by, you know, a pretty standard Ronda quartz movement, and I just am really taken by it. So it's really strange to say this, but I think maybe my pick out of the bunch might actually be the quartz model. Although I do really enjoy this automatic, and then there's different dial options. You can get a white dial, a gray dial. Of course, you do have this blue dial option as well, and then you can get it in kind of a very basic polished steel or a gold PVD case. So I think that's really great from the automatic side. Now, when you go over to the variants for this quartz GMT, of course you do have the black dial with white lume. You can get a green dial with aged lume, and then you can also get black dial with the stainless steel case, or you can also do a gold PVD or a black PVD as seen here. So those are just really cool that they give you those types of options. Of course, from a smaller micro brand that's releasing in smaller numbers, being able to offer a lot of different variations really cuts down the amount of, you know, each model you can actually get, because you're putting a lot of money in to really meet those minimum order quantities when you're ordering from the factory. So Monchard, I gotta say, really impressed with these guys. If you're looking at, let's say, like an Orient Flight, you know, basically you're looking at some pretty basic models that are out there, or maybe a little Seiko kind of Flieger style watch. If you're looking at those watches, I would definitely say it's worth it to check these out, although they're going to actually be a little bit more expensive than some of those more, you know, those smaller brands. I shouldn't say smaller, but you know, kind of more mainstream, affordable watches. I think what you're gonna get here when you get the sapphire, when you're getting the anti-reflective coating, when you're getting the really cool options and color palettes and choices, you're getting applied indices as an option. You know, of course, by getting the automatic. I think these things just look really, really great and they feel great on the wrist. So really impressed, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the brand Monchard brings on next. So let me know what you guys think. What's your pick? I know not everybody's crazy about expansive date windows there. So I mean, this thing, it's so weird. I'm not really into coated cases. I'm not really into you know, the open date apertures. I'm not into quartzes. This thing has like the trifecta of kind of what doesn't really tickle me, and I gotta say there's something about this combination. I'm really digging that quartz model, and then you know, of course, the automatic model is very handsome, but for me it's kind of what you'd expect from a 400 and you know, well, under 450 watch, about 442 with a Miyota base movement. It's very comparable to what you're going to be getting on the market. I think looks wise, it's going to look a bit more expensive than some of the other watches that are out there. And then for the quartz, I think that's just kind of where you get a little bit more for your money. Although it is quartz, you know, being at 332, so under 340 bucks. You know, that to me, there's watches in the 150 range, and compared to this is actually, to me, I would consider this twice the watch. This thing, if it was, you know, if it had the right brand on the dial, they would definitely be selling these for a lot more. But you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do it like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.